All right, well, here we are. It is Sunday, day of the Oscars, and we have sanded down the floors. I don't know how well you can see this in this light. We used a drum sander, which is a very difficult thing to use, but the best way if you're going to strip your floors. We've decided up here on the second floor, we are going to keep the floors raw. So no stain, no oil, no wax, no shellac. Doing this for three reasons. One, it looks really cool. Two, early homes had raw floors. If you look at a lot of the rooms in Mount Vernon, for instance, there's no finish. They didn't start using varnish and all of that until the late 1800s. And the other reason is we found ourselves really inspired by Axel Vervoort, who is a Belgian designer, and many of the rooms he does have richly embellished walls, moldings, what have you, and then a really stark contrast to the raw floor. And it's funny because even though it's historically accurate, it feels really, really modern. And you can see in here our hall bath, which is going to be our first working bathroom. We've laid down the penny tile, walls have been painted, paneling is up on the ceiling. We still need to do the crown molding, which is probably going to be done later because at this point we want to get the hell in this house, which means our priorities next week are putting in the toilet and the sink. And then if you come downstairs, you can see the hallway's been stripped. We did a pretty rough job on this, only to clean it up because we're going to be putting down marble at some point in the future, so we didn't want to waste time doing too much. But if you look in the living room, the floors have been stripped. I don't know how well this is going to read, but they're almost bone white. They're really beautiful. Now, unlike upstairs, down here, most of these boards are cupped. So we actually had to strip them both ways. And that is something you can do. You can sand against the grain, but just make sure that you compensate by going with the grain. Otherwise, it's going to look all fakaked. Unlike upstairs, we are going to be using oil down here. The floors are going to get 2 coats of tung oil. And that's more of a practicality than an aesthetic decision. We do have a golden retriever. It does snow a lot up here. And the last thing we need is big muddy paw prints on a raw floor. So the oil will seal it. Dining room, same thing. The boards in here are not as nice. It kind of looks like they spent all their money on the floor in the living room. And they still had nice pieces of wood starting from the far wall over to the middle. And then they crapped out. You can see the difference in the graining. Thankfully, we've always planned on putting a rug in here, a large rug, so it'll be all right. And then, if you come in here, you can see our first purchase for the house. We went to an auction in Hudson, and we found these great old English club chairs. Got them for $200. Neither one of us had any idea that auctions could be such bargains. And our mudroom, and I'm not allowed to step on the floor. We put in wide plank, which we have primed. Walls have been painted. Forget what the color's called. It's from Lowe's, from the Martha Stewart line. And we are going to be painting this floor blue-black from Farrow and Ball, which we're going to be doing next week. And followed by that, we're going to be putting in our washer and dryer and mudroom sink. And then hopefully the following week, we can move in. Though, we still won't have a kitchen.